Alright, time for another comic review, and this time around we're going to be talking about Wolverine Sabertooth War, Part 2. I did Part 1 about July, so here we are finally with not just the end of the Sabertooth War, but the end of the Wolverine Ben Percy run. For those who don't know, my friend Chris, who has been sending me these comics, Chris, thank you once again, he's been sending me the entirety of the Wolverine Ben Percy run, and this is the 9th and final volume of that run. If you're wondering why 9 instead of... because theoretically it would be probably 10 volumes. Some of the Wolverine issues that Percy had wrote went to other comics. Like, there was the Ghost Rider Wolverine event called Weapons of Vengeance, which I did talk about. There was also... some of the issues went into the X of Swords event. So there were a few comics that were moved to other issues, hence why it was just kind of like an odd volume numbering. Anyway, so for a bit of catch-up, real quick, Sabertooth, after escaping Krakoa and also battling his son, I talked about this in the Sabertooth and the Exiles comic, where Sabertooth has now planning on the bloodiest birthday for Logan, with Sabertooth variants from across the multiverse, and Wolverine has already Sabertooth has killed his son Daken. He's killed Quentin Quire, Kid Omega, and is using him, and Creed is using him as a weapon against Logan. And on top of that, you have the Exiles, who were in the Tree of Krakoa being punished alongside Sabertooth. They escaped and are now looking to hunt down Creed and kill him. So this comic is one of the bloodiest Wolverine stories out there. And Kno've talked about how Ben Percy really does nail the relationship between Wolverine and Sabertooth. He really knows how these two characters interact, and he knows his history. You can clearly see it in all the little details for this comic, is that this guy is a very well endowed in terms of Wolverine lore and mythos. This guy clearly, this was the character he always wanted to write, no matter what. This was the character he was just begging, can I please write Wolverine? And it's almost like even Ben Percy himself has said I was destined to write Wolverine no matter what. And again, I had some issues with his comic, but you clearly see the through line through the other half of this book, of this run, where Wolverine basically is started as I'm a loner, and even I don't like myself and like my family, even though I'm on teams and whatnot. But as you saw the comic continue, you see Wolverine is I was lying to myself. I didn't want to, I wanted Krakoa to succeed. I really wanted Krakoa to succeed. And I wanted everyone else to be happy, even though I don't think I can be happy. So you see all of that, and this comic is the culmination of everything with this story, in that Wolverine and Sabertooth have their final fight, and it is gloriously bloody. It's a savage... this comic is pretty savage. I also feel like they do a lot. They really do a lot in this comic. Maybe too much, because not only do you have the stuff that happened in Victor Laval's Sabertooth and the Exiles, and Victor Laval does have a co-writing credit with Ben Percy in this second half. It really does feel like we're doing a lot with the Exiles. We're also bringing back Graydon Creed after being thrown into the multiverse, and now he's got a new identity called Bad Seed, which is the dumbest fucking name I've ever heard. And I feel like the comic does kind of branch out too much, but at the same time, it does kind of, it does lose its footing in the second half, but I think it regains it to make a strong finale in issue 50. I really feel like the ending of this comic had a strong, holding finale for this series. I rather enjoyed the absolute, just, how bloody Marvel was going to let this comic be. They even put a parental advisory for this comic during the start of the Sabertooth War. The final battle between Wolverine and Sabertooth is pretty solid, and I gotta admit, this adamantium suit that Wolverine wears, and he also gets the Muramasa blade back, because what happens is that Victor pumps Wolverine with this drug that he stole from Forge's lab that disables Wolverine's healing factor. And they talk about, like, oh, Wolverine's lost his healing factor. That's never happened before. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, it did. That's what killed Wolverine the last... Like, who was it? Like, one of the members of the Weapon X program disabled Wolverine's healing factor, and that led to the death of Wolverine before, during that whole dark age for the X-Men. And that led to, like, Old Man Logan living in the 616 universe, while Wolverine was, like, in a melted, a fucking melted adamantium statue, dead. So I don't understand why they had to act like, oh, Wolverine's never had this happen to him before. I'm like, I can name 3 times this happened, one of which was like a few years ago. But still, I think it's a solid ending to a run. There's so many times where you see in Marvel Comics where a run just kind of peters out. Here, thankfully, Ben Percy's run does not peter out at all. This is a man who clearly loved the Wolverine, the character of Logan, and the mythos of everything behind him. Everything he did was for this character. So, I really do. So, it was really cool to see Ben Percy do this such a long run. Would I call it one of the best runs in Marvel Comics? Nah. I wouldn't. I have flaws with it. It's not like, Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk, or like there's a few others. And I'm not saying Ben Percy's a bad writer. I'm in no way saying that Percy is a bad writer. I'm just saying, like, this isn't going to exactly go down as one of the greatest runs in Marvel history. It's going to go down as a good one. I think it's a solid run. I think it's probably the best Wolverine run we've had since Jason Aaron's run. I would say that, yeah. I'm happy with saying that Ben Percy's run has been the best Wolverine run since Jason Aaron's. But yeah, I think this is a solid end to the run. You clearly see the love Percy had for the character in this comic. So there you go. Chris, I want to thank you for sending me this book as well as all the others. And yeah, if you read the finale of Sabertooth War and the end of Ben Percy's run, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.